Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sunshine.
Good morning, sunshine. Oh, here we are. Another Art Witch Sunday.
How are you today, Faerie?
Am I going to be honest?
It's your channel today. You can do whatever you want to do.
I'm actually really hungover because it was my sister's birthday party last night and I had so much fun. But I'm having less fun this morning.
But we're here. We showed up.
I am proud of my adulting now, not last night.
Well done.
Yeah. Keeping commitments.
I had a wild night last night watching a documentary on the couch and drinking wine very quietly, very subdued, very alone.
That sounds that's very nice, actually.
Well, shall we open our chat, our circle?
Please.
I thought I would explain what we often do at the start, because we usually do a triple soul alignment. Live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Okay. Did you see that?
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
Oh, I don't know why that happens. Didn't happen on mine. Anyway. So at the start we do a triple soul alignment and a little grounding as well. And I guess for those who aren't familiar, the triple soul is a concept that's found in the fairy tradition. I'm not sure if it originated there. I think you see the concept of the triple soul in a lot of occult knowledge bodies. But I'm familiar with it from fairy, and in reclaiming, which got it from fairy, I believe. Yep. And we're both fairy reclaiming influenced witches, which I think is fair to say. Mm-hmm. So it's this idea of you've got three souls, three cauldrons, and the bottom self is like the fetch, the child self, and it's like your body, your physical presence in your space. Is that how you interpret the fetch?
Physicality. So everything that's animal about you, like your appetite and your hunger and the sex drive and instinct, it's real. Like they say sometimes it has no language, it's all instinct.
Wow. You're a little animal. You're a soft animal. Your soft animal body that wants what it wants.
I love it. Yeah.
And then we have the talker self, which is our way that we interact with all the human beings. It's the self that goes on YouTube. It pays bills. It has a muggle tasks to do throughout society, and you need to project yourself out a little bit in order to accomplish those things. And it's the way that you express yourself on this mortal plane. And then we have the higher self, which is our sacred dove, our connection to the divine, the most good, pure version of you that can be. So if we just take a moment to orient ourselves in the space that we're in. I'm in Binjarab Budja. It's unceded land. It is stolen land. It is a beautiful morning here in Binjarab today. I can hear the insects making noises on the Wangamat Bilya, the river that weaves its way past where I live. And I want to give thanks to those elders who have fed the land, talked to the land, and continue to care for the land to this day. You can probably hear all the birds and things on the audio. And sitting ourselves in our fetch space, in our little animal selves that has its stomach grumbles and its itches and its primal memories that you were born with, that base fetch self, breathing into that space. And then sending a breath to our talker selves, bringing our best selves to this space today, on the video, on the chat, on the internets, with the people that we speak to every day. I give a breath to that space. And sending a breath to my highest self, the sacred dove, my connection to the divine, the divinity that is within me. And sending a breath through all the cells up to the sacred dove. Okay, so do you have a candle, my dear?
Always have a candle. And I'm just that I am on Wurundjeri country, on the other side of this magnificent continent, and I pay my respect to the elders of the plant.
I can't hear you.
I'm sorry for whispering. Yeah.
You have to shout louder. You're 3,000 kilometers away.
You need like cans and string. All right, I've got my.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let us light the candle for our Art Witch chat today. And I'm also going to toast up some incense because I'm starting to run out of stick incense that doesn't smell like butthole. So I'm going to do the charcoal block as well. Light it up. Had a hard time picking out loose incense today because I've got quite a stash, but I sometimes think about the creators when I pull the incense out. And sometimes it's like, no, I don't want that person's energy today. Sometimes social media reveals a little too much about a company, or, you know, you're like, no, racist. Oh, a little bit anti-vax, that's okay today. So I just need to make my own incense blends a bit more.
Yeah. I should send you some from work. I've got some really beautiful blends, actually, and they're like spells in a jar.
Oh, I would love that. Yes, please. Yes, please. I'm perfectly capable of making my own, but I love supporting creators. This one's really nice, though. It's Tinderbox.
Oh, I love Tinderbox. Holy God.
Yeah.
I miss them. We don't have anything Tinderbox over here. Oh. Yeah, I will have to do a swap. I'll send you some Melbourne Witchery name. Maybe you can send me some Tinderbox.
Yes. Because my trips to Tinderbox are so far and in between, every time I go, all their products are different. So it's actually quite cool in a way, but not all their products, but a lot of them. So yeah, it tends to be like a good few years. And when I get it, you get so much that it lasts me a long time because I've got all my other bits and bobs and the stuff that I make and all that sort of thing. But I like this one because it's earthy, yet it's really floral and lovely, and we're celebrating the element of earth today. So
I really think it would be perfect.
Very
nice.
I was going to move this to my altar, but I sort of want to keep it here. I might just keep the incense here and move the candle. All right, I'm just getting up for a second.
Granny says good morning. Good morning, Granny. And Astaria sends Hello, first time I've made one of these lives. What are we doing? Sorry, we just did a soul alignment. We're getting grounded. We're lighting a candle to welcome the space of Art WItchery. Eris is lighting some incense. So you do you at this point, and then we're going to chat about Earth and how it interacts with our Art WItchery. So we're just kind of waking up the space at the minute.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. The way the light's hitting my studio right now, I don't know if you can see, it's just hitting the face of one of my paintings. On yours, that's so weird.
I love it.
The light's changing constantly because the sun is rising. It's early here. It's only 8 a.m. So I'm still literally waking up.
And so is your room.
So is my room, and there's a breeze coming through now, and I'm looking at all my little planties, and their leaves are like moving, and yeah, I'm feeling the earth vibes. So
I'm feeling it today. I really love how this is happening for us.
Yeah.
Today was comfort for me, so I've come and sat in Arthur the armchair, and then I realized around me I've got some spirit dolls, and they felt like earth element, and I never would have thought of that until today when I was thinking about what went into making them, the fabric and the stitches and the recycled elements of them. I was like, you guys are perfect earth creatures. I mean, they're part animal too, which I suppose is that, you know, that body part of us, but I never would have thought of them as earthy before. I don't know why, but I really felt it today. Comfort things like,
But the soft animal body.
The soft animal. But here they are. Here we all are.
Oh, here we all are. I would love for you to talk about your spirit dolls. I mean, they have all of the elements in them, I'm sure, but since you've got some perched around you, do you mind speaking a little bit about the materials that go into making them, like what they're made out of?
Sure. So they're made with usually a calico base, and I will hand wash that and hang it on the line, and there's something in that ritual of laundry which is nice and domestic and sweet for them. And then they are dressed in recycled fabric, so I've just got a stash of fabric from op shops, fabric from leftover sewing days. People know I collect fabric, so people will bring me fabric, people post fabric. It's like hilarious. I just have fabric, and then I squirrel it away and have boxes full of random little bits that come out for my creatures' clothes. And then they're stuffed inside with thread memory. So whenever I'm doing a sewing project and you'll end up with like little scrappy bits, I just fill jars with the scrappy, and then they get stuffed with them, and it causes quite a density in them rather than the real squishy like polyfill. And then they've got all these memories of sewing projects. And I even had a friend once, she had a Stitch and Bitch group, and they sent me all their leftover thread. So like one of my dolls has got some like real bitchy stitches in there. I like that. This one, the inside of her has got my baby blanket from when I was born, which is, it was deteriorating because we're getting on in life. And I was like, I need to preserve this baby blanket. So it's in her because she's like a spirit doll for my inner child. I don't think I've ever actually shared. I've got a video on my channel about spirit dolls, but I don't think I shared her at that time. She's been quite like a little shy creature, but we've been doing lots of work. Like, she's actually quite magical, and she comes alive in my inner world.
She's looking right at us now. I've never seen her before.
Yeah, funny, hey? Yeah, so it's nice that she's ready to brave the world. That's quite interesting.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I've never really made a lot of dolls. Like I have little poppets and so on, but not the stitching, the calico body and all of that sort of thing. I think I've done it maybe a couple of times, but not full on lent into it. So it is something I'm interested to sort of look at. I really love the ones that have, like the others that you make with the sculpted hands and faces. They're really lovely. I tried out Sculpey for the first time last year with one of my classes, and I couldn't decide whether I hated it or really liked it. It was
a strange material, yeah.
It is.
I'm unsure about how my feelings on it too, and it's quite, I guess, important in this chat about earth and materials, because it's a polymer. That essentially means plastic, and I just don't want to be contributing to more plastic in the world. And I know it's not like going to landfill, and it's maybe different because it's a clay, but I'm like, is it? It still comes from, if it's plastic, it's going to come from a fossil fuel. And I just think, it's really starting to sit not very well with me. And I'm trying out some paper clays instead. And then I'm wondering if I go and move into ceramics. But the only thing with ceramics and the spirit dolls is that it becomes really weighted and heavy. And there's something beautiful about the polymer clay in the spirit dolls, is that they've got the armature, and so they've got life and movement. And that I have sculpted with ceramics for one of my dolls, and she would just ended up really bloody heavy. And so I wonder, I'm wondering about, polymer and whether I want to continue my relationship with it or not.
Well, the thing with that is a lot of our materials are plastics and polymers, and like acrylic paint, for example. And it's not great for the environment. I'm just bringing our chat up, but I'm going to put us on mute so that, oh my gosh, so I can see the chat and see who's there. Candy's there. Hello, Candy. And Branny and Astaria Sen. 5 p.m. for Astaria. I wonder where you are. Yeah, so the plastics, I do contemplate that every now and then, but there's a negative side to all the materials we use. I guess we're beings on this planet making an impact, and I guess you got to weigh it all up, don't you? And make a decision. And everything we do has environmental impact. Like if I was to visit you, that's getting in a plane, and that has a massive carbon footprint. And you know, what do you do? Do you not do those things?
Yeah, exactly. A conundrum.
Yeah, I remember someone, I can't remember who it was, they were saying, having a go at somebody else, saying, oh, it wasn't very pagan of them to be traveling so much. And I thought, geez Louise, like, you know, where does it end? I suppose. I guess it's just about being conscious and making those decisions.
Yes, and I think it's about how we give back as well, in balance, and being in balance and reciprocity. So knowing that if you're going to be working with materials, like if we're, you know, what can we do in other ways that are beneficial? And if you're going to fly, can you do carbon offset? Or I don't know. I think, you know, it's a bigger picture than just one thing. It's many things. But I like the idea of diversity and interesting.
Yeah, interesting. Definitely. I really want to talk about other ways you might use earth, because I do think of myself as a green witch, but I find that you're a little bit greener. So, let's talk on what does it mean to be a green witch exactly? Or is there such a thing? Like, what does that mean? Because it's such a catchphrase now. It's a big seller. If you know, use the hashtag green witch, people come to it. But what does it mean? Like, what does it mean to be a green witch? I mean, we're saying we're art witches, but what's a green witch? Like, what does that mean to you?
And maybe how does that fit with Art WItchery, I suppose? So we keep it to maybe that makes it relevant, or I don't know. How do they feed each other? Because the green kin are like family for me. That I feel sometimes it might sound very odd, but hey, look, we're talking about Art WItchery, so let's lean into odd, shall we? But I do sometimes actually become plants and become trees, like in my visioning realm, in meditation, like that grounding. Like it feels like an essential thing for me to remember my treeness and that I am a tree. That sounds very odd, I'm sure, but the reality of it and the feeling of peace that I get when I remember I am a tree, and that fairykin, that green way of being. This silly, frivolous human nonsense that really causes my anxiety stops when I can be a tree. I think because they are so grounded. When I see them, it grounds me. It's like I come into sync with them. There's a harmony that comes. I'm like, oh yes, I can chill out. I could be so still that moss could grow on me. I am like taking in the sunshine. There's birds in my hair. Like there's that real like, oh, chill out with trees. Get that. And then that links down to these plants that I fill my studio with, and like there is so much joy in the fresh air, good vibe feels of a house full of plants for me. And I think maybe it's because I'm bringing the garden inside, or I don't know. Anyone who's got houseplants will know how delightful they are. Like if you've learnt the knack of not murdering them all, like there's a real joy to it. And then there's my herb friends who are in jars, like ones I've cultivated or bought, and then I make teas and incenses and fill my spirit dolls with, and so there's these. I think that's what it means to be a green witch, is that it's in everything, and it's that I know that those plants and me are the same thing, and we feed each other, and there's a love there and a peace there that makes trying to be a human when you don't really feel human. It makes it easier, I guess. That's might be odd. And then how does that all fit in with Art WItchery? I guess it's just they're inspiring. There's nothing more inspiring for me than the green world, and they come and feed the art that way. Like I have them all around here, and if I'm stuck, I go into the garden and ground myself again. Or like I love being bare feet in the house, and I think that weather permitting, it's bloody cold sometimes, but all of those practices help me do the art. And it's those green kin that are asking me louder and louder lately, like paint us. And maybe it's to help other human folk remember that they're trees too, that they're plants as well. Because if we love something and we're in right relationship with it, we're less likely to fuck it up or to hurt it or to go about bulldozing everything, because you remember it's you and it's love and it's vitality and essential.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you for that. Yes. Most definitely. Candy asked about what the birds in the background are. I believe that's on my end. I've got my door wide open because I've got incense cranking and I need the door open anyway. Well, that was an eagle.
Wow.
They've gone quiet now all of a sudden.
Yeah,
you know the one that goes pew, 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 pew. That one. I forget. I don't think it's a wedgetail. I think it's something else.
Wow.
That's a kookaburra.
Oh, spirit birds.
There's all sorts out there. There's 28s. There's magpies. There's pink and greys. There's magpie larks. There's wattle birds. There's the cacophony of Western Australia is out there. I'm very lucky. And it's funny, like I don't notice the birds sometimes, and then someone will mention it and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's quite loud here. To me it's very quiet, but I guess that isn't quiet. Because I live like I guess it's an outer suburb. So it's very, very green here, and I have a lot of trees. And I'm starting to master the art of not killing indoor plants. So it's getting more and more green in here. I mostly have the plants near the window, which is along where I'm sitting now. So I've got a little green friend hanging up here. Oh, can you see that? And then on that side, you can see some
on the social media, like actually.
Yeah, they get a lot of photo ops, those plants. They're very lucky. And then, of course, there's my garden. And I know you've got a beautiful garden again there too. And
you live in a tree house, basically.
Pardon?
You live in a tree house.
I do live in a tree house. And it's quite wild at the moment because it's been raining. Blessed, beautiful. Thank you for rain. And it's just very overgrown because I'm not in the garden as much at the moment. Trying to be good and not overextend myself physically due to my earth-based condition. Oh, it's all warm there for some reason. I don't know why. That's a bit weird. This is a weird thing to contemplate, like for the earth element. Yeah, so I do have herbs, but I find I'm not very good at growing things that get eaten, like fruits and vegetables. Yeah, other animals seem to get to it before I do, and it's such a battle for me. I'd love to be, in this really green environment, but because the weather here is so challenging to grow in, it really is a full-time job. And then I'll see someone post a beautiful garden down south in Denmark, or someone in Tasmania or Melbourne, and I'm like, why is it so green there?
Totally different lands.
Sometimes it feels really parched and flat and dry and yellowed here, but that's only this time of year, I suppose. So I'm trying to see what's there in a different way, not with my colonial eyes, if that makes sense, because I know the land has so much to offer. I'm just looking at it and sometimes still expecting to see a European landscape or a cooler climate when I live in a temperate climate, but it's sometimes edges towards the more arid side of things. So trying to look at the land with different eyes, and that's where I've really appreciated reading a little bit more about the original agriculture of this land before white people came along and wrecked everything with the sheep hooves. So if you haven't read Dark Emu by Bruce Pascoe, I really recommend that one. And I'm always keen to learn more about not just the plants that we bring, but also the native plants that are already here. And it's really interesting. I've lost track of what. Green witchery. Yeah, so I do find there's a weird tension there between what we try to do on the landscape and what's already there, and something that really helped me was seeing this. Someone was talking about permaculture. I think it might have been a YouTube video or something else, and this man said that he needed to start listening to what the plants were actually telling him and stop fighting what was already going on. And there were lots of plants that were flourishing in his garden, just not the ones that he wanted. And the plants were all sort of speaking and saying, we're fine. You're the one who needs to figure yourself out. We're doing fine here. So once I've started looking at it in that way, I've felt a bit more in harmony with my garden, and learning to lean into the things that grow well rather than trying to battle to grow things that don't. And trying to learn lessons from the plants or the weeds, or however you want to phrase it, what is a weed, and let those speak to me and be. So you put little herbs and things inside of your dolls. Is there any other way that the plants, I guess, besides feeding your soul and being a part of us and all of this sort of idea, how it appears in your art and how you create? I want you to talk about your tea.
Thank you. My brain's not working. Just nudge me along. Yeah, tea, definitely. So making up look, I have a dream one day. I've got a dream that I want to make my own tea and have my own art on tea boxes. I don't know why that delights me no end, but I really, really have wanted to do that forever. And I would make up little tea blends for our witch circles, and whenever I had my little Art Witch like lessons and workshops and stuff, and I just love having a plethora of tea around, and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to make? So I've got a little blend that I call Creativity, and it's got some lemon verbena is one of the key plants in there, and there's something magical about growing this beauty and then having it in a tea, and it's an anti-anxiety medicinally, but not in a way where you need to go to sleep. Like a lot of them can be quite sedative, whereas this one seems to be inspiring, and I've done a lot of art with lemon verbena, and I like that. I think, yeah, I suppose imbibing our herb friends to then make art with them. And then there's like, of course, like
do you dry it? Sorry, do you dry it or do you use it fresh?
Dried, but you can do fresh. Like I just used to like go straight in the garden, and because it's quite woody and the leaves are quite, but yeah, I've got it dried in the house for if it's ever not fresh in the garden. So, same.
That is something that I'm managing to grow. It's quite happy. It likes being cut back too, I find. So it's actually quite happy to give because it's better for the plant to be nibbled on. So I find the harsher I cut it back, the better it comes back the following green flush. So yeah, I'm still establishing my relationship. I've got some dried, but I feel scared to use it. But now I feel like I'm going to make my own. I'm going to drink it,
and then do some art and see how it feels. It just felt really relaxing for me, and I find that being in a relaxed state is the best way to get creating. And often, creating can bring up anxiety, or if you're going through a moment of doubt or that sort of thing. And I find if we can just use some practices like the grounding, like the alignment, like having a chillax tea, they're all little rituals that can get you in the right mindset to let that critic go and get into making, doing.
Just catching up on the chat again.
Who is chatting?
Candy says, have you ever watched Colette's channel, Beltane Cottage, Permaculture in Ireland? Oh, I must go watch that. It will probably make me green with envy. The climate here is not Ireland, I'll tell you that. And then Astaria says, I've done fresh dandelion tea. It was amazing.
Look, this is a dandelion. You've got
dandelion. I was just reminded of this painting that you did with the dandelions. I moved where I have it in my house, and now I get to see it a bit more. And it's the dandelions.
Yeah, they're dandy, and they're having tea. Is that the tea drinking one?
Yes, yeah, I think so. Dandelions drinking tea. I think they are. Yeah.
Oh, so silly.
Yeah. I really like it.
Yeah, glad you got that one.
Yes. So the element of earth, I guess we were talking a little bit about materials before. I would love to chat about materials with you.
What are your favorite materials?
Well, I don't know. I probably acrylic paint. I hate to say it. I love working with clay at times. So, earthenware clay that you fire in the kiln, but I haven't made time to really get into that. I do it a lot at work, and when I do, it's my favorite thing to do at work. I love painting a lot, and I've started painting on canvas again, which I'm loving a lot, and it feels closer to how I like to express my art, like the being able to move the whole arm and see the drips come out of the paintbrush is something that I really enjoy and I get a lot of thrill out of. And I find it such a different process to working on the small paper that I was working on to do my tarot cards, which I really loved as well. Like I love watercolor on paper and the mixed media-ness and everything like that. But I've found the canvas a bit more connecting for me, I guess, in a weird way. So it's not that I wasn't connected to my cards. I just found it much more introspective, if that makes sense. Like really like personal. It felt really personal. Whereas going bigger, I feel less attached to it in a weird way. It's not as personal. I'm just like, oh, here's some painting. Whereas my smaller art's like, this is my art, and don't look at it. I drew it on paper and I painted it with little paints. Whereas this is like, huge muck about. Yeah, it's different. And then I love doing all the craft stuff as well. So, the basket making and weaving and stitching and, noodling about with other materials I do enjoy. So I think I want to try and do more mixed media and give that a good old crack. Like I've got some Posca pens ready to go to put on the canvases, but I'm just like still a bit feeling funny about that. And also I've recently bought a fresh set of oil paints, but I haven't cracked them open yet. So that's a bit like, oh, I'm not ready. And I might just use those for glazing over the top of the acrylics that I've got going now. So that's back to something that I used to do, was go oil, acrylic, and then oil glazes over the top. So I like all the things, but I think I said in the Art Witch circle, we've got a Facebook group, so come join it. I think you put it in the description, didn't you? The link for the Facebook group.
Yep.
I realized that I was still in the mindset of a poor art student, and I'd been using the same brands and the same materials and the same processes that I have always used, like the ones I learned at high school and then into uni. I think I branched out a tiny bit, but then I never graduated from the poor student mindset. So it was either like still using those old materials, which I'm now having to throw out because that was 20 years ago, or when I go to buy new things, just buying the same thing again instead of trying out something new. So I have been, in the last 3 or 4 months, since I've decided this year to invest myself in my art a bit more, including financially. So I've dropped a little bit of time at work, so I've got more time to make art. And then I've decided to actually buy different art materials, but I'm too scared to use them. So I'm dipping my toes. But if anyone's on my Instagram, I got a new trolley just for my paint, so I'm very excited. So I'll show you my 2 trolleys. I'm going to introduce you, and then I'll let you talk. This is Devon. He's my black IKEA trolley.
Oh, IKEA.
He holds all the, like, whatever's currently going. So at the moment, it's a supplement to my new paint trolley, but Devon changes what his contents are all the time, because the IKEA trolleys are really good because they're easy to wheel around, and they're very sturdy, and I really, really like it. So that was a revelation, getting Devon. And I also got this new desk when I got Devon as well. So I got the trolley and I got a new desk, and I was like, finally I have a space to work on that's not too small or the floor. So I'm very excited about this desk. And then I'll show you Bessie. This is Bessie. She's a Kmart trolley. And nice, she's got a bucket of water on her, so I'll just take that off. She's pink, yes. Okay, Bessie. And the wheels aren't as great on the Kmart trolley, so that's the only downfall. So here's Bessie. So the Kmart trolley comes with a cutting board on top, which was great because then that means it can hold my palette. And underneath there are my paints. So you'll see my paints in there. And I went through all of my paints and I've started to throw out, you know, when you get the goopy paint that separates fully and then you like sort of go, no, you're still good, and you mix it in the tube. I've thrown them out. Like, what am I doing? It's time to throw that paint out.
Yeah, make space for nice things.
Yeah. Yeah, so I slightly KonMari'd some of my materials. So that was very exciting for me. But acrylic, should we talk brands, or I don't know, where are we at here? Like,
yeah, go, roll.
Okay.
We're talking materials. And I even feel like your beautiful art room, like our spaces we work in is another part of Earth, isn't it? Like our little studios. But yeah, let's talk about materials. I can see in the comments here, Astaria Sen says, have you heard of Genesis heat set paints?
No. What is it?
I've heard of them, but I haven't worked with them. But I think Astaria is going to have to come to our little Facebook group and come and share more about her paint magic.
I'm very intrigued. Yeah, that's really interesting. And yeah, I love how watercolor looks too, Astaria. I just love watercolor, but I've just finished doing a tarot deck. I don't know if you know, and I'm really like over watercolor right now. So I won't talk about watercolor right now, but I do need to upgrade my watercolors. So this is the main acrylic brand I use. It's Atelier. And they call it interactive now, which I think means that I haven't actually tried it, but they've got mediums you can buy that make it last longer. But I don't like working with acrylic in that way, so I haven't gone there. So that's one brand. Then there's Matisse.
I like
that's pretty good. Yeah, and Matisse also comes in those big tubs. They look like this, but these are the mediums I use to mix with the paint. So that's an impasto medium. I use that on the base to make it more chunky and thick. There's a canvas sitting here. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's got a texture on it, but I don't know if you might be able to see. Just makes it chunky. And then I do have a small amount of golden paint, which is like the upgrade. So these are all good brands though. The student brand that I use more at work is Chromacryl, and I've got a few tubes of Chromacryl. That's the neons. Chromacryl is pretty good, but I find that after a while their blues can really fade. That I've observed over the years in the classroom. And they're all my medium-bodied or heavy-body paints. And then I've got a few golden flow. I've just bought a set, and I'm still learning. Like, that's really separated. They separate really easy. I'm still learning how to use these ones, but they last a long time. Like, they really flow. So instead of me struggling with diluting paint to get it runny, so I can actually do clean lines, I got some of that, and I'll give that a go. And I think you know a little bit more about that than me, so I'd love to hear you talk about materials in a second. And then for oil paint, there's two main brands that I use. The Artist Spectrum, which is pretty solid, and then the Georgian as well. I've only got two. Those are my new ones that I've just bought. I need to go double check my old oils to see if they're resurrectable. And then to mix the paint, I've got some other mediums, like water, obviously, gel medium to make it juicy and like keep its 3D-ness. Like, you know, when you paint a thick, chunky, like brush stroke and it looks beautiful wet, and then it dries and you're like, oh, it's disappointing. that can like stop that and keep its heavier viscosity. That's a matte finish one. And then I've got iridescent medium. That's new. I haven't played with that. These are all new. So this is me spending a lot of money on materials. And then there's gesso and terps and things on the bottom layer. And Mod Podge, of course. Which I hear that Mod Podge is a conspiracy and it's just PVA watered down. Have you heard this?
I don't know. I feel like people used to rave on about it in like all the art journal-y kind of things I've seen. But I just like using gel medium for the same, like, or binder medium rather than Mod Podge, because I've just always had I've got a really oversized tub of it and I have never seemed to gotten to the bottom of it. And so I've never needed to buy Mod Podge. But people used to rave. Are they not raving anymore?
Well, I was trying to, because I get it at work, or I started getting it at work, but it's really expensive. And I looked up how to make Mod Podge. And then I came across a blog post. It was like, here's a recipe for Mod Podge. By the way, Mod Podge is a ripoff. Don't buy it. Just do this. Mod Podge is just PVA watered down. And I was like, what? But I think it depends on the PVA, because not all PVA glue is created equal. So maybe it depends on the PVA. I do have binder medium as well. That's probably my favorite. This trolley is hard to maneuver, I tell you.
Bessie.
Come on, Bessie. This is my binder medium that I use. That's good for just about everything. And then the surfaces we paint on as well, I guess. Canvas, wood, anything.
What can I put my paint on to?
Yeah. As long as you seal it first, probably with something that's got binder medium in it, you're good. So, yeah. I think one thing is it'd be good if more artists thought about the long-term archival nature of their work. Like I see a lot of people doing tea and coffee staining, but it's the acidity is not good. But if you don't really mind about that sort of thing, that's okay. But yeah, I've seen people neutralize the acidity, like when they do coffee staining with something else, and then they test the pH in the liquid before they bake their paper, which I thought, oh, is that really gonna stop that? I'm not sure, but
so science. Why don't they just get a sepia paint and drink your tea?
I guess the same reasons that it's something really lovely about working with tea and coffee, isn't there?
So lovely. I like the roast dandelion root. It goes like a coffee substitute, but painting with that, because I love drinking it, and it's that dandelion weirdness that I'm into. So that's a nice one. But yeah, I hadn't thought about its longevity.
Now I really want dandelion tea again.
Can we get someone to bring us some? I would like to have little minions bring us tea now, please.
Yeah. That would be lovely.
That would be so nice. We need a production crew. Staff.
Yeah. I've still drinking my cold coffee now, so
I got nothing. I'm made out.
So I guess those are the mediums that I'm working with at the moment, mostly. And then we've got like stationery and all my watercolors, pencils.
What is your favorite thing to use in your junk journals?
I'm not a massive junk journaler. I've got one junk journal that I've made that, again, I am like paralyzed of putting stuff in. I've written in it, but just like I just write in it at the moment, because I made the journal and now it's like, okay, well, I got to write in it now, and it's really, I think I feel more free to just do whatever in there, but it's still early. I'm just writing in it. I think I did one drawing in there, but it was like watercolor pencil, but yeah. And then I'm dipping my toes in, like I want to be better at mixed media and junk journaling and things, but I'm too distracted by my other stuff. Yeah.
Oh.
I think, did we talk about this last time a bit, where you showed your sketchbook and I was like, man, I've got too many sketchbooks. I just need one that is a junk journal. I don't know. Yeah. It's funny, like I'll do something once and then I'll move on and I'll be like, oh, I've done that now. Next, what else can I do?
Yeah. Well, we've got like a love of being creative, and I think there's a part of us that wants to hone in and do like the big acrylic paintings, but we also want to also have all the other pies as well. And so I know I flit in and out of all the things creative wise. I bloody love it, but you know, that kind of jack of all trades thing, and people can be a bit mean about that. Like you hear people like, oh, you'll never master it if you're doing 50 million. Like, who cares? Like, it's so fun. I want to do all of it. Like, it's my life, blah blah blah. But I also do want to be this like very skilled painter as well, and that does take like 50 million hours, and it's probably not going to happen if I'm faffing around with every other thing as well. But who cares? Good fun.
I feel like I am the epitome of the jack of all trades archetype. Like, I love, and it's not just art, it's all sorts of things. I love trying things out, but as soon as I like master one tiny thing, I feel like I'm done and I just want to move on. Some things I persist with and I'm really stubborn about it and I won't let it go. Roller derby. But other things I will, you know, just drop and be like, right, I'm done with that. And I wish I had more me's so I could be a musician and an artist and a roller derby skater and a gardener and you know, all these things that deserve full-time attention. Yeah.
I do think people that only have one thing and like, wow, that mastery that comes over them. But I am not that person at all.
Yeah, I don't know if you call it, it's Jack. It's not the king, it's Jack. Like you get to the intermediate level, like you just get into the top, like you're able to do like one thing and you're like, right, well, next town. Candy says, have you seen Jonna Jinton making paint from earth and rocks and plants on YouTube?
No.
And that she's been drawing and painting on vinyl records. I think I saw it. Yeah. Oh God. That's cool. Do you use a particular medium to get it to like stick, or just acrylic paint, or how are you doing that, Candy? I wonder.
Yeah.
There's local artists who their shtick is natural pigments and dyes and things like that. And yeah, I keep meaning to go to one of their workshops and find out more, but I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, I do have questions about the, like, does it matter that it won't last? Is it okay if art is ephemeral? You know, if the pages rot in our diaries because we used a coffee stain, is that okay? Like the crumbling at the edges in 50 years time, are we fussed by that or not? So, you know, are we some archivist's headache in 300 years time, or we'll no one care because it'll be a dystopian cyberpunk future? And yeah. So materials, what are your favorite materials to work with?
I've been thinking a lot on this, and because of this multi-passionate issue that I have, it's like, can I say all the things? It's so broad, but I've been thinking about like oil pastels, water soluble oil pastels by a brand called Portfolio are so luscious, and because they're water soluble, I'm thinking it would be fun to see how they go on a canvas, and mixing some of that lovely crayon-y mark making into layers of the painting. And it's weird that an oil pastel like that really rich creaminess could be water soluble. That delights me no end. And the Portfolio brand is very reasonably priced, and it's really like luscious to work in with the art therapy wise because of that mixed media nature. But there's another brand called Caron d'Arche, I believe. That's probably pronounced really wrong, but they're called Neo Color 2. Hey, lassie, is that them? The Neo Colors, are they like the crayon-y? Oh my God, so I really want to get them.
I have not used them yet because I am too scared to. They come with a freaking power. And it's like,
All right. Well, I got a voucher for the art shop from my sister for my birthday, and I am thinking that I'm going to splurge and with my voucher only buy one set of crayons because that's how expensive they are. But alas, I think it might be worth it because how delightful.
Those were on special from the Sydney Art Store when I got them, and I think they were some crazy discount. Like it was a Boxing Day sale, I think. And I thought, I'm just going to treat myself because I love oil pastels. I used to use them all the time when I was a student, so I really wanted to get back into them. Now I've got this box of really fancy oil pastels, and I have no idea why I have them or what I'm going to do with them.
I think they're going to go in your
so
that'd be good fun.
I think I fancied the idea of putting them on paintings as well, like having these lines, and getting that mixed media-ness on top of the painting. The two that are behind me, one's a they're both muck around paintings and just like getting back into painting sort of thing. But I think this will be like the prototype of how I want to work. Like if I do develop a series or something like that. So I'm looking forward to more talk about materials in the Art Witch Circle group because I feel like there's so many gaps in my knowledge. Even though I'm an art teacher, I've always just gone right 12 tubs of 2-litre chroma acryl, 10 bags of everyday clay, 200 boxes of 2B pencils. Right, I've ordered the materials. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's so you don't get time to play. And
we need to make some time, I think, Lassie. Like, because then there's like the whole exploration of coloured pencils. Like they've come a long way from the crappy Crayola pencils of my youth, and they're like so delicious now. Like the there's Faber-Castell pencils, but like the really top brand, like the Albrecht Dürer ones that are water soluble as well, are like dazzling. But then there's also, I'm trying to see my box of pencils. I can't remember their brand name. Prismacolor, I think. Oh my gosh, pastel. That's a pencil. Like they are so thick and luscious. Oh my god, I love it. And then there's watercolor, like all the different types of watercolor, and watercolor that's got gemstones in it and glitter and stop it, so good.
Yeah,
like all the materials, please. Like honestly, I think my favorite outing is going to the art supplies shop. Like, give me all the things. So good.
Yeah. Next time I come over, you need to take me to a fancy Melbourne art supply shop because, I'd love to, go. I normally have my partner with me, and he's just like, this stuff is so expensive, and I'm just like, looking at all the things. We talked about money a bit in between the lines here, like how much stuff costs, and I guess anxieties about spending money and all that sort of thing. I think with the elements of earth, the money factor does come in. I guess this could almost be a whole, like we've been talking for an hour. I'm happy to keep going if you are. But money, oh my gosh. Like, do we go there?
No.
Do we unpack that shadow?
No.
So long.
Oh, money. It's such and it's such a strange, it's the opposite of art, really. Like, sometimes because art is such a fuck you to capitalism. Like, we are not doing as we're told. We are not marching. Like, we are painting. It's so frivolous. Like, I think it really, but then you can be a wealthy artist and you do have to pay for art materials, or you'll be a starving artist. Like, it is such a polarizing weirdness. Money is anywhere, I think, for people.
Yeah.
Weirdness.
So Candy said that she uses acrylic and then pen on the acrylic. Oh, cool. That's what I've been wanting to try more, is the pen on top of acrylic. TikTok has really been inspiring me lately. Like, there's so many cool artists on there sharing their process. And because the videos are really short, you're like, oh my God, I'm so inspired. I want to go do that now. Like, you don't have to like sit and watch a hour-long YouTube video. Sorry, everyone. And then Candy said, a friend bought me hundreds of records he'd found in a garden. Oh, I love that. That feels like such a UK story. I feel like that wouldn't happen in Perth. I mean, it would happen in Melbourne. That would happen in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And then she said, Caran d'Ache water-soluble pencils are the best coloured pencils ever for layering colour. Oh, I've been sticking to Derwent for pencils, thinking, oh yeah, Derwent is the best, but I don't think they are. I think maybe I need to expand my horizons.
Yeah.
Yeah. The moment I caved and finally got the 70, I think it's a 78, the Derwent watercolor pencils, I was like, right, I've made it. I have spent money on my art, and that was just like to finish my deck because all my pencils were getting to be like these little tiny nubs.
I love those little pencil stumps, so cute.
And I thought, this is ridiculous. Like, I am a grown woman working full-time on a job. Why can't I, just get some pencils, girl? I really struggle with the money thing, and I'm trying to overcome that. So maybe it is something that we could talk about in a separate chat, because I think it's something that we shouldn't shun and go, oh, let's not talk about that, because I think it is worth talking about, like nutting out that issue, because it's something that something that's good to think about. Don't I always buy for sketching pencils, but color, I love Caran d'Ache. Ooh. What do you think about, so have we decided to shelve like talking about money for another day?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that I feel like my energy body is very tired, and I think that I might hit a wall if we
talk about money.
I'm going, my mind implode. My brain might come out my nose.
Well, to finish off, there's one material we haven't spoken about. Like, we've talked about like the tactile. Digital art is a thing. Like, do you think that once you start doing digital art, are we no longer in the earth element, and are we now? Is it something else? Is it so separate from traditional media?
Well, I got a Procreate app for my iPad. Ray got it for me. Cost like $15. Best $15 ever spent. And you use the little iPad pen, and we got like a rough cover, like protector to go over the glass of the iPad to give it a paper-like feel, which is nonsense, but it's better than the iPad screen. And it is fun to noodle about on there. It is really, like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm not a digital artist. I don't think I'll ever be a digital artist because it isn't tactile, but it is still fun. So, and it is unmaterial. Like, I am holding an iPad. I am holding an iPad pen. And then it finishes. Like, that's it. Like, it's a new thing, but it's nothing compared to the joy of watching paint dribble down a canvas, or hearing the scratch of a pencil in a sharpener, or feeling the stitch of cloth through wool. Like, there's a sensory deprivation tank about digital art for me. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got
That's very interesting.
But it's got things I'm like, about it. But yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you. The fantasy art forum that I was on years ago, before social media, we used to have debates about this, because there was one artist who was really good at digital art, and it was still like, I guess it was early days then. This is the early 2000s. So today you notice that same artist, like, she went into more traditional and then has gone back to digital again, I think. And it's this interesting relationship you have. I think it is a spiritual thing, that connection you have with your materials, and it's hard to like you and I are talking to each other right now, and I know that you really exist on the other side of the continent, 3,000 kilometers away. But there's something different. Like if we were sitting in the same room having a chat, that would be different, wouldn't it?
Hugely.
So it's just like that missing element, like you're missing a sense or senses that you only have the visual. And I think the smell of the materials, the feel of the materials, the weight of the materials, this is all like part of that animistic, like we started off with quite an animistic discussion of like plants and our relationship with those plants and our bodies. And I think we've almost come back to that, in that these things are important when we're working with our actual art materials, is being able to feel the body, the animistic nature of what it is that you are interacting with. Because it's almost like we're creating a being sometimes with our work.
Those ingredients.
Yeah, and I think you can create a being in the digital realm, but it's going to be very different to a being in the physical, and harder to do it. I don't want to say that traditional art has a soul and digital art doesn't. It's something else, but I don't know what I'm getting at. But this is coming from someone who isn't proficient or as proficient at digital art as I want to be.
I feel it's a tool, but it doesn't give me the squee feelings that actual traditional media does. Traditional media is soul food, whereas digital stuff like my laptop here and the iPad and the Procreate, they feel like tools, like a ruler or a compass or something. Like they're helpful, but I'm not having this like love affair with them. Whereas the squeeze factor is missing, but someone who's a real techie nerd loves that sort of stuff. Like my husband, for example, he'd love probably digital art. Like that might be the total joy for him, maybe. Oh, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, my partner said all along, like, why are you doing traditional art? You should be doing digital. It's so much better. And I'm like, you don't understand. There's definitely a
art himself to know that squee feeling he's missing out on.
Well, he has been making a lot of pixel art lately, and making games which require a lot of artworks to be made for it. And he's really getting into the pixel art and the digital art. So I think he's going to be even less sympathetic now to the idea of, because he can draw, and he drew a lot when he was younger. But I think he really loves the digital realm and that cyberspace, and he thinks that, you know, that suits him more. So yeah, depends on I guess how you interact with your world in a creative way.
Yeah, and what you're wanting. If you're just wanting a good high-end product, then digital's fine. But if you're wanting to do this, I think maybe the Art WItchery comes through the relationship with the material. That could be like the essential element, like in earth. Like how does the earth element work with Art WItchery? And it's the materials of that spell. I like how Candy said digital art isn't romanceable. Yes, I like that.
Well, our next chat's going to be about spirit.
I feel like we're floating on the edge of it now.
Yeah. What a journey around the compass we've been on so far.
I've really loved it, me. Oh my gosh.
So, that's in 2 weeks, isn't it? Our spirit chat, and that'll be back on my channel. So join our group if you've got any questions, or if you want to share your artwork. We would love to see it. And I'm going to try and be better at sharing more in there. I'm not very good at sharing stuff. We're getting better at it.
Very. It's early days.
Yes. And then after that, we'll be doing Art Witch April. So did you want to share anything about Art Witch April? Because
not today.
Not today, son. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for Art Witch April. That's happening. So get ready. Prepare yourself mildly. We won't overwhelm you. Yes. But thank you so much, Faerie, for having me on your channel.
Thank you so much for dragging me along today. I'm sorry I'm a little bit irritated.
No. I've loved your cozy edition on the chair.
Of Art Witchery.
Yeah.
Thanks, honey.
Okay.
I appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody's comments and interactions today. So nice. And yeah, come say hi over in the Art Witch circle on Facebook land.
Yes. Big shout out to Candy and Astaria as well, who left earlier, and Branny, if you're still there. Thanks so much for popping along and having a chat with us, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, and then every week in April. Right?
Yes, so bloody exciting.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
All right, honey.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.